The beggar sits on the corner of Blackwood and Fourth, beneath a perpetually flickering streetlight. He's completely sightless, his eyes milky white, yet every local fears him not for his blindness, but for what he sees. They call it the third eye, a horrifying psychic gaze that strips away the veneer of the living to reveal the secrets clinging to their souls. Elias, a journalist known for his cynical eye, approached the beggar at 3 a.m., the witching hour, determined to expose the charade. The beggar, a man whose clothes were rags and whose skin looked like weathered leather, sat utterly still, a battered tin cup in his lap. The moment Elias stepped into the cone of the flickering streetlight, the beggar tilted his head upward, his milky eyes fixed not on Elias's face, but on a point just above his left shoulder. A low, dry, resonant sound began, a rhythmic thump-thump that felt like a distant, massive drum. The rhythmic thumping was coming from the center of the beggar's chest. The beggar reached out a hand, its fingers long, thin, and tipped with thick, yellowed nails. He did not ask for money. His voice was a low, rattling rasp, like stones tumbling down a dry well. "The stain is heavy tonight, Elias. The woman with the green scarf. The lie is a rope around her neck." Elias froze, his blood turning to ice. The beggar knew his name, and the woman with the green scarf was the subject of his last, brutalizing exposé, a piece of journalism that relied on a calculated deception. He looked around wildly. The street was empty. The beggar's head followed the unseen entity, his sightless eyes tracing a line just above Elias's shoulder, and the rhythmic thump-thump accelerated, now sounding like a frantic, desperate heart. A single, thin, high-pitched whine emerged from the beggar's throat, a sound of profound mental focus. The beggar's head slowly, painfully, rotated until his milky eyes were fixed directly on Elias's forehead. The rhythmic thumping was a chaotic drum solo, and the high-pitched whine became a deafening siren, drilling into Elias's skull. He felt a sudden, crushing psychic pressure, a torrent of foreign, violent emotions flooding his mind: guilt, cold ambition, and the specific burning shame of the lie he had written. The beggar was not seeing an aura. He was actively projecting the truth of Elias's actions, forcing him to witness his own corrupted soul. Then a single, horrifying visual slammed into Elias' consciousness. An image of a beautiful woman in a green scarf, her face contorted in agony, a thick, coiling rope of black shadow tightening around her throat. The beggar's rasping voice cut through the psychic chaos. "The third eye demands truth. You cannot hide the shadow." Elias stumbled backward, the psychic pressure easing slightly, but the beggar's chest was now visibly heaving, the thump-thump a sickening, irregular beat. The figure reached into the tattered opening of his shirt and slowly, agonizingly, pulled a small, round object from his chest, a white, milky sphere, dripping with a thick, clear, viscous fluid. It was his eye. He held it up to the flickering streetlight, and the single, detached eye began to pulse with a terrifying inner light. The light was not white. It was a sickly, vibrant emerald green, the color of the scarf. The beggar was not just a seer. He was a collector, a mirror of ultimate truth, and his third eye was a vessel for the lies he exposed. The green eye, pulsing violently, rotated until its gaze locked onto Elias's forehead. Elias knew the beggar was trying to transfer the agonizing truth, to plant the third eye, the perpetual collector of sin, into his own mind. He threw his entire body to the side, rolling out of the cone of the flickering streetlight and into the absolute blackness of the alleyway. The beggar shrieked, a high-pitched, raw sound of frustration, and the green eye in his hand exploded in a silent, blinding flash of emerald light. Elias ran, not stopping until the rhythmic thump-thump of the beggar's heart was swallowed by the city noise. He didn't look back. But the moment he reached the main road, he instinctively reached up to his forehead. There was no pain, no mark, but the world had changed. The streetlights now cast a thin, dark, perfectly coiled shadow on the ground beside every person he passed, a shadow that looked exactly like a rope. He had escaped the beggar, but a fraction of the third eye's sight, the permanent agonizing vision of human guilt, was now an indelible part of his own perception. Subscribe to Whisper Dark for more.